Imagine the most powerful king in the world, lying helpless in his bed, his body covered in infected wounds, the smell of rotting flesh filling the royal palace. This was the horrifying final reality of Philip II of Spain, the ruler of the greatest empire on earth. But what exactly happened in the final days of this powerful king? And why did his death become one of the most painful endings in royal history? In the late 16th century, one man ruled one of the most powerful empires the world had ever seen. That man was Philip II of Spain. From the palaces of Madrid to the distant lands of the Americas, his empire stretched across continents. He was known as a deeply religious king, a powerful ruler, and a man who believed he was chosen by God to defend Catholicism. But despite his enormous power, his final days would be filled with unbearable suffering. And the way he died shocked even those closest to him. During the 1500s, Philip II of Spain ruled a massive empire. Spain controlled territories in Europe, the Americas, and Asia. He also ruled Portugal for a time, creating one of the largest empires in history. From his grand palace, El Escorial, Philip governed his empire with strict discipline. He spent long hours reading reports, writing letters, and making decisions that affected millions of people. But while he ruled with iron determination, his health slowly began to collapse. By the 1590s, Philip was an old man in constant pain. He suffered from severe gout, a painful disease that causes joints to swell and burn like fire. For Philip, the pain was unbearable. His legs became swollen. Walking became almost impossible. Servants often had to carry him from one room to another. But gout was only the beginning. Soon, something far worse appeared. Philip developed large, infected sores on his body. Historians believe he suffered from gangrene. The wounds became so severe that his flesh slowly began to rot. The smell inside his chambers became unbearable. Doctors of the time had very little knowledge of medicine, so their treatments were crude and painful. They drained wounds, applied strange mixtures of herbs and oils, and tried to remove infected tissue. But nothing worked. The most powerful king in Europe was slowly dying, and there was nothing anyone could do. Philip's suffering lasted for months. He could barely move. His body was covered with open sores. Maggots reportedly appeared in some of the wounds. The pain was constant. Yet despite everything, Philip remained deeply religious. Priests constantly stayed beside him, praying and preparing him for death. Even in agony, he believed his suffering was part of God's plan. By September 1598, the king was barely alive. His body had become extremely weak. Breathing was difficult. Speaking required enormous effort. But Philip insisted on maintaining royal dignity until the end. Surrounded by priests and loyal servants, he spent his final hours praying and confessing his sins. Finally, after weeks of unimaginable suffering, on September 13th, 1598, Philip II of Spain died. He was 71 years old. For a king who once ruled the most powerful empire on earth, his death was anything but glorious. There were no battles, no heroic final moments, only a slow, painful decline inside a dark royal chamber. His final days were filled with infection, suffering, and the limits of medieval medicine. It was a reminder that even the most powerful rulers in history could not escape the brutal reality of death. Despite his painful death, Philip II of Spain left behind one of the most influential reigns in European history. Under his rule, Spain became a global superpower. Catholicism was fiercely defended, and the Spanish Empire reached its greatest extent. But history remembers not only his power, it also remembers the horrifying way his life ended. History is filled with powerful rulers, but their endings are often darker than their reigns. And the tragic death of Philip II of Spain is proof that even kings cannot escape suffering. If you enjoy dark and brutal stories from history, don't forget to subscribe, because the past is far more terrifying than most people realize.